Aloha and welcome to the Photo Brigade podcast. I'm Robert Caplin and I am in Maui, Hawaii with my new good friend, Daniel Sullivan. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm great. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, well, I'm thrilled to be here in this beautiful tropical settings. You're going to hear the breeze behind us, but that's just the way it goes. So we're at the Four Seasons Resort in Maui at Wailea at Maui, forget how it goes. And we had just finished our photo workshop, the Photo Expedition at the Four Seasons. And it was an amazing adventure, and Daniel actually came with us. Part of one of our days was to go on the road to Hana, and your gallery is right on that road to Hana for anybody.
Yeah, it's right on the way. It's in Paia.
In Paia,
yeah.
Yep. Indigo Gallery.
Yep.
So if anybody is ever looking for some amazing photography, they have lots of Afghan rugs. They have, his wife is a designer and has beautiful, designer clothes, scarves, jewelry, right?
Yeah, we got it all.
You got it all.
Yeah.
And his work is amazing. I mean, everything, and you started editorially, right?
I did, yeah. I started as a photojournalist. I was in Afghanistan and Lebanon and Syria. And at one point I realized I wanted to focus more on my art. And so I started photographing vanishing cultures.
Right.
And so for about 10 years I've been doing that, visiting different countries. I was in Mongolia a couple of years ago, Papua New Guinea this year.
It's insane. You just travel all over the place and live in such a beautiful setting.
It's been great. Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk to you all about how you got into photography, how you got into selling your work.
Yeah.
I mean, you started editorially, and then now you're just doing all this, print sales among many other book sales. It's just insane. But before we get started, I just wanted to give a few quick shout outs and thank yous to those that have supported this awesome Maui Photo Expedition at the Four Seasons. And of course, Four Seasons Maui, awesome resort. You got to come here and experience it. It is like luxe. A big thanks to Canon. They sent out tons of gear. I mean, we're talking
so
like
much gear.
we filled up a table that seats, 12 people, just of lenses, everything ranging from the 8mm to the 600mm, teleconverters, 1DXs, 5D3s, strobes, and we also had Adorama ship out some really great gear as well, hooked us up. Benro sent out some tripods and monopods. We had Lexar. They sent out memory cards, Tenba bags, hooked everyone up with a camera bag. Also, Ali'i sailing charters here out of Maui. They have an amazing 65-foot catamaran, which is like the widest, I guess, here in the Hawaiian Islands, not just Maui. And we went out, that was our day one sort of excursion, and it was a sunset sail, unbelievably beautiful. You have to experience it. Also want to give a shout to yourmauiescape.com, who also have some great condos down the beach where our crew stayed. Some of our crew who are filming this podcast right now. So stay tuned. Check us out on what is it? What's my website? It's on Facebook, and we're going to be posting all sorts of great YouTube content from our adventures from our film crew. So with that out of the way, we turn back to Daniel. Sorry, I just wanted to spit all that out and get it over with.
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah.
All right, so we were talking about, I want to start now. Now everyone kind of knows a little bit about you now and what you're up to, but I want to go way back and kind of figure out when it was that you got into photography and how that kind of transitioned into becoming a professional photographer.
Well, I've always had a camera with me. I think my first camera was when I was 8 years old. It was a Honeywell Pentax.
Oh, wow.
Didn't have a light meter.
8 years old?
8 years old, yeah. So I've been shooting since I was pretty young. Had a dark room in my bathroom when I was about 12 and, just developing. And then I went to college and paid my way through college working for the college newspaper at LSU. And then I did some AP stringer work along the way. And then when I was pretty young, I went and spent the summer in France, and I met some amazing photographers, Peter Turnley, Edward Boubet, and those guys really inspired me to go on. And so when I graduated, I actually went on to, was in Pakistan, Syria, I went into Afghanistan, and that's how I got my first job working in Paris with a press agency.
And sort of what were you shooting when you were
I was shooting slide film at that time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, what kind of content were you shooting?
Yeah, well, I was shooting was photographing the refugees in Afghanistan. I lived in a refugee camp for about 4 weeks in Peshawar, Pakistan. And then some of the warlords. And then I was really interested in religion as well. So I was photographing a lot of monasteries all across the Middle East too, some of the old monasteries that were still around from the Byzantine times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
And what kind of clients did you have?
I was doing mostly freelance at the time, and you know, just working through SEPA Press, and then they were publishing stuff, so everything from Herald Tribune to British Medical Journal and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was a little later that I moved to Kabul, and I was working there, and I realized that I was really passionate about telling stories that meant something to me. And that's kind of when I started working on my own on projects and moving away from that. And yeah, so that kind of, I had always been fascinated with cultures and with people. And slowly over the years, I developed this project on vanishing cultures, and it's taken me to some amazing places and really opened my eyes to some really fantastic places.
We should mention that that's also your Instagram account.
That is Vanishing Cultures.
At Vanishing
Cultures.
At
Yeah.
Vanishing Cultures. Check it out. Really, really great work. Wow. I mean, just sort of globetrotting.
Yeah.
And wait, where did you call home? Where do you call home? And before that, I mean.
I'm from New Orleans.
From New Orleans.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So was it a big jump? Like, I remember, you know, the first time I went out of the country, I didn't do anything to the extent of you. What was that? What was that like for you? Were you eager to get out? Was it?
Oh, I was so excited. Yeah, no, it was just such an eye opener. I think the first place I went, I graduated college. I sold my car so I could buy a ticket to the Middle East, and I started out in Jerusalem, and then I went up to Egypt, and then I was in Jordan, and I really fell in love with Syria. I lived at a 6th century monastery there in the desert for a little while, and had a house in Damascus, and I was going back and forth to Beirut, and it was actually Israel released the south of Lebanon, so I went down there to photograph the Hezbollah for a little bit.
Wow.
But I was really photographing the people is really what I became really passionate about, and especially in Syria, the people were amazing. And it's actually been really difficult to watch everything that's been happening.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
That's really got to be pretty insane.
So many friends of mine have been affected by that, and it's hard not to be there and to be a part of that. And,
yeah. Do you? I mean, so you were saying you were photographing more the people of. You weren't really out there shooting war. No,
I've never really been interested in the war side of things. I've been more interested in the humanities side of it.
Yeah.
So where I've been photographing, it's been of refugees, or it's been of doctors working there, or so that I've been more on that side of it. Yeah.
That's interesting because you know, when you think of anybody that's out there shooting,
Yeah.
I just automatically go, oh, war photographer.
Yeah.
All these places
Yeah.
where there's all this unrest and everything. But you don't have to be a war photographer to document these places and these people who are deserving of photographers.
Yeah.
Those types of photographers.
No, people. It's always been about people for me. So much of my work has been portrait based and people based up until my recent project on Maui, but yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want to gloss over any of what we're talking about, but your new project is the King's Highway here in Maui.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, the King's Highway was a highway that was built by the Hawaiian king in the 15th century, and it was the first Hawaiian road to circumnavigate an entire island. It actually unified Maui, and part of Maui had been divided and been controlled by the Big Island. So once the king created this massive highway system that went all the way around the road, all the way around the island, it joined it. It unified his power. And for many years, this road consolidated the culture and unified all the villages, and it was used for commerce and trade and protection. And in the 19th century, it kind of disappeared. And what I did was I decided to walk around the island. So I left my home in Haiku, and I started walking along the coast looking for this road, and I hiked 220 miles trying to find it and photographing the coast. And that's been about a 3-year project that I've been really focused on and really excited about. It's been a great project.
Yeah, it sounds really great. I mean, and so I should mention that the way that I found out about you was through your Kickstarter.
Yeah.
There's a little lizard going by here. This is awesome. There was through you had a Kickstarter
Yeah.
for this project
Yeah.
in which you were trying to raise a certain amount of money,
Yeah.
and it ended up going like viral all over the place, right?
It did really well, yeah.
And you ended up like quadrupling your money or your goal,
Yeah.
and the project is just on, and now you're about to find a publisher or publish yourself and edit the. Did you write as well?
I did write. Yeah, I'm not a writer by nature, but yeah, that's kind of when, I guess, you know, when you're doing a book. I had some help. The poet laureate, W.S. Merwin, wrote the foreword to the book, which was a tremendous honor. He's an amazing poet. And I've had some good help from copy editors, but yeah. I wrote the beginning of it, yeah.
Yeah. So how does that, I mean, was that the first time you've done a Kickstarter? Because a lot of people do that now. By the way, we didn't toast. I need a little drink here. Cheers.
Cheers.
All righty.
Yeah. Oof, that's strong. Yeah.
That is really some strong stuff right there. Where was I? Okay, with doing Kickstarters.
Yeah.
That was your first time trying that? And
It's my second time, actually.
Oh, what?
Yeah, my first book, actually, right there, I did Tribes of the Omo Valley. I was photographing 5 tribes in southern Ethiopia, right along the Omo River near Kenya, and it goes down into Sudan, that were being affected by one of the world's largest dams. So I went and I lived with the tribes, and not only photographed them, but I recorded a lot of their music, which is the oral tradition that's passed down through generation to generation. It was a really amazing project, and it was great to spend some time with these people who, a lot of them hadn't even seen a camera yet. Which
wow,
was great. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful book too.
Thank you.
Where can people find this book?
It's on Amazon. You can find it, Tribes of the Omo Valley.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll also post that in the below in the links below
Yeah.
on the YouTubes, on the internets. Okay, and so that was a success as well.
Yeah.
So you reached your goal.
Yeah.
And then so what happens? You have to come up with a certain amount of money, which gives you a certain amount of print run.
Yep.
And once you reach that money, then you send it to Amazon, or they have it in their warehouse, because you're not shipping it from here, are you?
It depends on the situation. It depends.
Or where they buy it. 'Cause
Yeah.
You sell it in your gallery.
I mean,
obviously.
this new book on Maui is going to be based here because most of the distribution's on Maui.
Okay.
So it makes more sense to have it here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's neat. So, you know, I think I always want to think about business. So,
Yeah.
you know, you went from freelancing. I mean, how does one make money doing what you did?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
shooting, you know, these vanishing cultures, the people.
Yeah.
You know, you said you let SEPA represent
Yeah.
your photos,
Yeah.
which sell things editorially, which we all know editorial's kind of like wah wah in
Yeah.
terms of how much money
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get. How did you make it work?
Well, I've always been fascinated not only with the photographing cultures, but also bringing back antique rugs and bringing back antiques as well.
Oh, cool.
So what I would do was when I would travel for about a year, I would always come back to my home in New Orleans, and I would have a big photography exhibit. I'd rent out a space or use a house and have an exhibit, but I'd also have antiques that I'd brought back throughout the year from Afghanistan, from Tibet, from China, and all of that kind of began what my Gallery Indigo is today, which I travel, wherever I travel, I bring beautiful things back as well. So I've got yurt hangings from Mongolia from my last trip and baskets from Papua New Guinea, as well as, you know, having my photography.
Yeah.
So it's a nice fit. It's great.
It really is cool. I'm gonna, well, I actually Snapchatted it for all you 20 people that saw my Snapchats. But we'll have in some of the video that we produce some of your gallery,
Yeah.
and I'll definitely share that. And then, and so you've kind of taken that to the next level now.
Yeah.
When did you decide to go from, you know, world traveler to like, let's go to Maui, you know, and you know, live
we
life?
were, my wife and I were living in Kabul, and she got pregnant when we were over there. So we had to make the decision. I wanted to go work in Cambodia to do some photography in Cambodia. But we decided, her parents had a house here, so we decided to move out to Maui. And shortly after we opened the gallery, and the rest has been history.
Yeah.
10 years later, it's been just fantastic.
And how much time do you spend traveling now?
We spend about a month traveling, and I'll try to go to a different country each year, but we usually end up going back to India. We were just in Bali, because we do a lot of sourcing in those places too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And you came to our final exhibition last night.
Yeah, it
and
was
I got to
great.
meet your beautiful family. You have a wife and 2 beautiful kids.
Yeah.
How old are they?
6 and 10.
6 and 10.
Yeah.
And so, are you traveling with them now? How was that transition from traveling? Did you have to like stay put for a bit?
No, I was always able to go at least once a year, but yeah, this past year I took my kids to Indonesia, which was fantastic to kind of open their eyes. Living in Maui, it's such a small place, and it's a fantastic island, but getting to show them the rest of the world was just great.
Right.
And I was able to fly to Papua New Guinea and do a little bit of work there, and then fly back and be with them. So yeah, it worked out really well.
That's really cool, man. I'm wanting to backtrack. In high school, I'm going back. I know I'm popping around.
No,
I
it's
feel
all
like
good.
we keep jumping around because we keep bringing up things.
Yeah.
But back in high school,
Yeah.
you were shooting since you were 8. Do you have like film or pictures from back then?
Oh yeah.
Were you pretty good back then? Like looking back at it, were you like, dang, I was a pretty decent photographer for an 8-year-old? I mean, anyone now any kid now has an iPod or whatever.
I look at my son who's 10 now, and I think he sees the world in such an amazing way. I don't know if I was as good as he is now, but he shoots photographs in such a great way. One of my first projects I did when I was in high school was photographing homeless people along the train tracks in New Orleans. So I would go and meet homeless people. It was all black and white, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think really early on I was drawn to portraits and drawn to just the human spirit, and that has been a lifelong thing for me that's never gone away. Yeah, this is actually the first time that I've been photographing landscape, this new project on Maui, which has been such a different thing for me, but it's really been successful.
Yeah. And some of these shots, which I've seen on your website and your Kickstarter, just look so beautiful, so remote. And I know from going on the expedition with you on the road to Hana, I saw you shoot. You're always bringing a tripod with you. You're doing long exposures. You're really kind of working it. Would you, do you just kind of go out and kind of pop out there one day and shoot bang, bang, bang for good light, or do you like go on like an epic hike for days on end?
A lot of the places, what I've been trying to do, I mean, this project has been a lot of discovery, and I've been really invited to some amazing places on Maui. I mean, for most people when they come to Maui, it's the Maui of fancy cocktail drinks and resorts, and it's awesome. But there's a culture here that's deep and it's hidden. It's in places like Nahiku and Kenai, where I took you guys, where they still grow taro.
Yeah, that was really great. We ended up making a quick stop on the road to Hana, which was something that we normally don't do. I mean, a stop that we normally don't take.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. Your friends, they're your friends that grow?
Yeah, no, I've made some fantastic friends for this project. And for me, that has been awesome. Just, having the culture of Maui open itself up, and being able to go places that most people don't get to see.
Right.
And to see people living away still off the land and still connected to the land, which is just fascinating.
Yeah. So the photos that I'm kind of keep going back, going through your career again.
Yeah.
Those photos that you took of the homeless people, did you you were in high school at the time.
Yeah.
What did you do with those photos?
I mean,
Was it for a class?
It was for a class, yeah. I mean, actually, I had been photographing for so many years that by the time I was in my junior and senior year of high school, I just had open lab. So it was a great school that I went to. It was kind of an art-based high school, but they allowed me certain hours just to work in the lab by myself in high school.
Awesome.
So that really gave me a lot of freedom to explore what I was interested in, and yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's funny, my high school experience was I had to sneak into the dark room because I couldn't get into the class because it was an elective, and all the kids just wanted it because they thought it was just a silly class and it'd be easy.
Yeah.
Right? Meanwhile, here I am like, oh, I'd love to be in here, and having to sneak in during my study hall. And finally, there was actually 2 art teachers, and they each thought I was the other student. And finally, they found me. They realized that I wasn't each other's student, and they promptly let me in their class, which was really great.
I think we've all snuck in a dark room once or twice. Yeah, it's part of being a photographer.
Sometimes for different reasons.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, late at night. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah. So you've been shooting film. Did you switch to digital?
Yeah,
like,
my first.
yeah.
It was actually an interesting transition. When I first when I was working in Pakistan with the refugee camp, and my first trip over there, it was all slide film. I had black and white and slide film, and it was really difficult to get film at the time. So you'd have to shoot. You weren't sure what you had, and you have to go back to Paris and develop everything in Paris, and then it was, or I'd go to Istanbul or wherever I could find a lab. But then in 2004, I went to Kabul. I had first gone to New York and talked to SIPA in New York, and they said they were interested in having me over there, and had some stories. So I flew into Peshawar, and I crossed the Khyber Pass, and I had bought my first digital camera in New York. It was a Nikon D100, and it was, I think, 6 megapixel, and that was the beginning. And I had to kind of learn as I went to shoot digital, and it was awesome. It was really cool to have that instant feedback, but that was the beginning for me, and
right.
Everything up until that point, it was really interesting, kind of living in both worlds. To have lived in the point where when I worked for the newspaper, we developed everything in black and white, and then we'd have to print it and we'd scan it, and that area where it all transitioned to digital, then all of a sudden everybody was digital and film was obsolete. It's been kind of amazing to live during both those periods and to meet photographers who have had their careers on both sides of that. People like Edward Boubet, or people who have been really amazing photographers, and it is such a different thing to shoot film and to shoot digital. I mean, you really are, I don't know, you can be a lot more present, I think, with film at times. I think digital can take people away from being present.
Sure, yeah, because you constantly are looking at the back of your screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you still shoot film?
I had a Leica M6 that I shot with up until recently. I had a darkroom here on Maui. But honestly, I really just wasn't using it enough to keep it. And now I shoot all digital now.
So you're here on Maui. Do you island hop? Do you go to the other islands for any reason?
Not too much. I mean, we're really, we love being here. And we're really grounded here. Yeah. We're just we're on Maui. We love it. Yeah. I mean, occasionally we'll go, but yeah, it's great.
That I can understand that. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, we just had you missed him, but P.F. Bentley, who's from Molokai, came over.
Amazing photographer.
And he's a great photographer, and he works for Hanaho magazine a lot. And anyway, you'll see his podcast likely before this one. We did a podcast with him outside at sunrise, which was pretty, well, it wasn't sunrise, but yeah. It didn't rise that day. What was I saying? But he's jumping around to the islands doing different stories because he's working for a magazine.
Yeah.
Like he's still doing this editorial, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, he said, you got to start, selling some of your pictures. Like, I'm an editorial photographer. I'll leave it for those, other guys. But anyway, I have found of the 5 islands. I've only been to 3 of the 5 islands, but Maui is by far
Maui no Kauai. Yeah, it's the best. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got such mountainous regions. You've got, I almost went to Haleakala, but we ended up not for one reason or another.
That's an amazing thing to see, is the sunrise up there.
Is it the sunrise that you like? I've done sunset there.
The sunrise is pretty awesome because if it's clear, I mean, you can see the Big Island, you can really see both coasts.
Wow.
And then when the sun rises on the crater, I mean, the light and the colors are pretty phenomenal. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And up there they have the observatories as well.
They do. They're not public, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. I would love to...
Could you imagine?
To see through. I know they watch the sun. One of them, they can actually view the sun from that telescope.
They've done like a 10-year time lapse of the sun.
Be epic. Yeah, it would be amazing to see that.
I have a link to it. They just released it, or at least I just saw the link to it.
Awesome.
Just before I came here, I was like, oh my God, that was done in Maui. I'm going. How do they do a time lapse of the sun when this Earth is spinning?
Right.
For real. Okay. So, like you were saying, there is a lot beyond just the resorts, and that's one of the things that my wife and I like to do.
Yeah.
You know, try to see the culture, try to have an adventure. That's what we try to do here with this workshop, and you were obviously able to help accommodate some of those things. What other parts of Maui, you know, what other things about Maui, you know, should people be checking out? Like,
Well, I think, you know,
how can they experience Maui like you think
the
they
real
should?
culture
The real
of Maui.
culture of Maui.
Yeah, I think the culture of Maui, it really exists within the landscape. For me, that was something I kind of discovered over the past few years of working on this project. I had always been searching for, you know, this Hawaiian culture, and it's elusive. But it wasn't until I started realizing that the culture was within the landscape that I began to understand it. And I think that there's so many historical, archaeological places here that are just fascinating. And when you start studying them and start understanding the culture that lived here and how it is connected to the culture which exists here today and how important that is, it's really amazing. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's fascinating.
I really think that's fascinating. And when did you start kind of, I mean, obviously when you were overseas, you probably did a little research, right, before you got there, or did you get there and then just start meeting people and start understanding the culture? And was that the same here in Maui? Like, did your interest start in Maui once you decided you were going to have a kid, you moved here, and then that kind of interest in Maui began, or did you always have something?
It's been a totally different process here on Maui. I think because it is so close, and living here, when I travel, I don't know. I mean, when I was just in Papua New Guinea, there was a gathering up in Gorka and in the highlands, and I went a week early, and I did something I usually don't do. I actually built a backdrop out of bamboo and got some black cloth and built a little portable studio and photographed the tribes that way.
Interesting.
But my Maui work has really slowly, very, very slowly opened itself up to me. And I mean, it was 10 years that I had lived here until I was invited down to the Hawaiian homelands down in Nahiku, which not many people are welcome down there. And when I started doing this project on the King's Highway, this amazing family invited me down to Nahiku, and we caught lobster together. They took me on the King's Highway, showed me where there were these, you know, there were 7 ancient heiau temples just in the jungle that, you know, weren't even, you know, no archaeologist had even looked at. I mean, just amazing places, and that takes a tremendous amount of trust for them to have trusted me that much. And living here 10 years, it took, you know, that time and that experience. You know, some projects happen very quickly and you're there and it's immediate. This one was so different than that. It was a very slow progression, but it's been very rewarding.
Wow. Yeah. So, but it was 10 years of course, you know, getting to know them or whatever, but these people called you, why? Because was it because they saw the Kickstarter, or?
No, it was, I mean, the story, everybody became fascinated with me hiking the King's Highway and finding it, because a lot of people didn't even know it still existed, except in small pieces. So the front page of the newspaper, the Maui News, did a story on it. Huffington Post picked it up. MSN, the Daily Mail in London, Geo Magazine did a feature on it. So it was out there. It definitely got a lot of press, and a lot of people heard about it that way. I did a lot of radio interviews. So yeah.
So this is like natural for you.
I wouldn't say it's natural, but I'm learning. Yeah.
I still don't feel natural. Like, with the camera and all this kind of, like it doesn't look natural either. Let's see here. So of all your travels so far, other than Maui, we take out Maui.
Yeah.
You know, if you could pack up, move with your family.
Yeah.
Where would it be?
To live?
To live. Let's say to live. Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we loved Bali. I mean, we could live in Bali. Bali's fantastic, you know, but that's not, I don't really do a lot of photography there. That's more for buying and stuff for a store.
Right.
I loved Mongolia. Something about being in the Altai Mountains, living in the yurt, It's fantastic. The people are so hospitable and nice. I'd go back there.
Man, I want to travel with you.
Let's go.
Sounds like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, anytime.
Let's do some more workshops.
Yeah.
More
Hey,
workshops all over
Mongolia
the world.
next year. Mongolia, we'll be there
In a yurt.
in a yurt.
What is a yurt?
A yurt is the Mongolian house. You know, the tent they live in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually really comfortable, and they have a fire inside the middle of it in a hole. So you get in, and it's kind of cold, and you get in, and a little lack of oxygen inside, and pass out really quick. But it's nice. I mean, you really sleep well in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of lack of oxygen.
Yeah, definitely. Carbon
awesome.
monoxide's great. Yeah.
Carbon monoxide, amazing stuff. So you're doing this Vanishing Cultures still.
Yep.
You like you said, you've turned to landscape now. Is there a next project you're thinking about yet?
Yeah, I definitely want to continue this Vanishing Culture project and see it to the end. I want to do a beautiful big coffee table book on it, but I'm in no hurry to finish it because I have enjoyed doing it so much, and it's just a wonderful reason to get out and see these cultures that are so unique all over the planet. I haven't explored much of South America. I want to go to Ecuador. There's some tribes there. I want to go back to Africa and back to Mongolia too. I mean, it's been such a thrill to be able to do this on my own, not my own dollar, but on my own, desire to do it.
Your
too.
own pace, your own everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great place to be.
It is a great place to be.
Where it's you're shooting for yourself, the projects that you want.
Yeah.
And that goes to show, you're diversified in how you. This is a business podcast. I know, I'm here talking. We're talking about it,
yeah.
But you're diversified. You don't have to only rely on that income from your photography now.
Yeah.
You've got this store where you're,
Yeah,
another source of revenue there.
It's so important. I got some really good advice. Newsweek photographer Peter Turnley said to me really early on, he said, as long as you can, don't try to make your living as a photographer. Don't do it for the money. Just do it for your love of it.
Yeah.
And I took it to heart, I think almost too much because, or not too much, but I've done that my whole life. I've just done it because I love it.
Right.
And when it wasn't about that, when I was doing something that I didn't really feel, in my heart that was the story I should be telling, I didn't do it. And that's how my photography has gone from doing more editorial to doing, projects that may be more art-based, but, are still telling a story, I suppose. And then someone else once said, just do what you love and the rest comes. Mm-hmm. And that for me was amazing because it did work that way. My gallery and having the store together in one really facilitated my art and has helped me to grow as a photographer and pursue what I really care about.
Was the gallery location where it is today on this sort of road in Paia?
Paia, yeah.
Paia.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say paella, and then I keep thinking about it too much, and whatever. So, was that a strategic? Was that your first location?
Yeah. That's been our same location for years.
Strategic because of it's all these people that are going to be coming through, or do a lot of people visit that?
Paia's
town?
fantastic. Yeah, Paia is the most local town on the island. We up until last year didn't have a corporate store in Paia, and we really have tried to keep it small business. And I think a lot of tourists, when they want to get a unique feeling for Hawaii and feel what it is, real Hawaii, what it is, they leave Front Street and they leave this side and they come over to Paia and the North Shore, and they're just fascinated by it. We also have this amazing surf culture and the biggest waves in the world.
And Jaws.
Yeah, so it's pretty epic. People love Paia.
I just went to the Maui Film Festival, and there was a world premiere of The Wave I Ride, which is Paige DuPont,
yeah.
Amazing surfer,
Yeah.
and just a documentary on her, basically the kind of culmination of her catching this kind of epic, I don't even know how many feet wave it was. It's like
now it's amazing to see
some
this
giant like 30, 40 feet. I don't even, it's like
60 plus.
60 plus?
Sometimes it's amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's, and we missed it. I'd love to go see that. And Jaws is what it's called.
Yeah.
But the Maui Film Festival was just across the street, and it was unbelievable. There was a shooting star that literally went over the screen right as this movie was starting.
Awesome.
It was like,
awesome.
I don't even know. It's just, epic, I guess is the only word I can think of. Yeah, man, you were living it up here. I mean, I'm pretty envious of your lifestyle and you know, just doing what you love and you know, having the family and.
It's been good, yeah.
And it seems like your kids are great too. Like,
they're really happy.
You brought them out. You brought them over here, you know, and you know they're just, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, yeah. No, they're pretty chill. It's a great place to grow up. I mean, it's safe. You eat really well. We've got a bunch of fruit trees. They eat really healthy, and yeah, they're really happy, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good.
Have they been to the mainland?
They do. Yeah, I mean,
You go visit. You have family that still lives in
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay,
Yeah,
so they've been there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been to Mardi Gras and done the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They've been to Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a dad. Okay, so social media. You've obviously you understand the importance of the social world out there.
It's hugely important. Yeah.
I know that we've really only just met and got to know each other over the last day, through driving, having meals together and whatnot, and hiking the Pipiwa Trail,
Yeah.
epic Pipiwa Trail. It was amazing. But you know, that transition for you.
Yeah.
When did you realize when it was starting that it was going to be something you had to get on top of and start utilizing, or was it more of a recent like, hey, this is good, let's use it to fund the book project?
I think it's a really great way to network with people. I've got a presence on Facebook. I've got a page, and I also do Instagram, and the two really work well together. You know, you can post on both at the
Right.
same time. And it's been a really good way, especially when you get, when you get some publicity, like say when the Huffington Post article came out, it's a really great way to get that out to a larger audience as well, to post that on your page.
Right.
And so that was really great during my Kickstarter campaign, because once those were out there, that was free advertising. It was awesome. And that, so much of that, if something's published on Huffington and then it gets on Facebook, that's how it can go viral. Everybody
Yeah.
starts sharing it, and then it's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you have both the personal page and your photography page?
I do, yeah. And then Instagram is Vanishing Cultures.
Vanishing
Yeah.
Cultures. Cool. Have I before we go and just start plugging away at your social media, so everyone knows where to get to you, is there anything that I've missed? Is there any bit of advice you have for photographers, in the same vein of Peter Turnley, giving advice to you that want to get to this point in their life where they're doing what they're doing, what they love?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think one of the best lessons I've learned is to look in your own backyard. I mean, to really focus on what is close to you. I mean, I've always loved traveling to these distant countries, but there is something about going deep and not just going far that this project has been really different. I mean, being able to return again and again to the same places until the light is just perfect, and to study the landscape with such acute detail, I think it can apply for any subject or project, but going deep is really important, and being passionate about what you're photographing, not just doing it because you think it's going to sell.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of photographers who are shooting, because it's for the money or because they think it's going to sell, but if you actually do what you care about and are passionate about it, it comes out in your photography and it makes a huge difference.
It makes it far more rewarding too.
Much more rewarding. Yeah. Life's short. Do what you love. Yeah.
By the way, these birds that make this noise,
the myna birds, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They look like little chickens running around, right?
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
They like just start chirping at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's really pretty funny.
Yeah, they're
But
super
you're
smart.
used to them, right?
We've got 40 chickens. We're used to chickens
you're
too.
used to-
yeah,
you're used
yeah,
to
we've
bird
got it
noise.
all, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're like,
We've got a farm,
you've
yeah.
got a farm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a farm, and you're like, you can like, do you go to the grocery store?
Yeah, I mean, we grow a lot. We grow pretty much everything, and but yeah, we've got chickens that lay eggs, and we.
That is so awesome.
Yeah,
Living
it's
off the
great.
land.
You got to. I mean, for one, it's really expensive here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But
It is
two,
really expensive
I mean,
here.
you have year-round growing seasons, so you can grow vegetables and tomatoes and eggplants and anything you want year-round. So you can live really healthily.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Was there anything that I missed that we should mention or plug or talk about?
My website is danielsullivanphotography.com. You can visit it, and I've got all the countries I've visited and all the stories are there in galleries. You can order art from the website, and it also has links to both my books. So yeah, check it out, please.
Check it out. We'll put it again. We'll put it below in the not comment section, but the info section. Please make sure to check out photobrigade.com/live. That's where we have all of our live events, past events, and upcoming events listed. You'll be able to see this on there, which is normally we would do our podcast live, but since we're in Maui and we've got other things to do. Cheers.
Cheers.
What was I saying? We weren't doing it live, obviously. So check out photobrigade.com/live. Thanks again to the Four Seasons Resort Maui at Wailea. Thanks again, Canon Professional Services, Tenba Bags, Rode Microphones, and all the other guys that I shouted out at the beginning of the podcast. Daniel Sullivan, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah.
Aloha. Aloha.